Mr. Seselj is in Belgrade. He was released towards the end of 2014 on health grounds. He's been suffering from cancer, and it was decided in the end by The Hague that he didn't have to go back to the tribunal for the verdict. In terms of the verdict coming as a shock to many people, well, of course, people have been waiting for the verdict in this trial for an awfully long time. Mr. Seselj originally went to The Hague voluntarily, it has to be said, when the indictment was brought against him in 2003. That's 13 years ago. The trial actually started in 2007. It's been through all sorts of shenanigans since then, many of those of Mr. Seselj's making, and now the court has found that he's not guilty on all of those charges, which were largely relating to hate speech and inciting ethnic Serb forces to kill or displace people of other ethnic groups.
We'll wait for Mr. Seselj's response, which I understand is expected in the course of the afternoon. I think he said he wanted to respond to the court's decision. But can you just give us a little bit of context again, guys, to where he fitted into the, if you like, the Serbian hierarchy at the time?
Well, Mr. Seselj was one of the people who first came up with this idea or concept of a greater Serbia, or at least helped to popularize it in the 1980s. This idea that Yugoslavia, or at least the Serbs within Yugoslavia, would be better off forming a country in which they took the areas in which Serbs traditionally resided and made it into one country which would be predominantly ethnic Serb. He was then involved, allied with Slobodan Milosevic in the early 90s. The relationship between those two went through many ups and downs. But again, he was a prominent ultra-nationalist at the time, espousing the ethnic Serb cause, posing as a defender of ethnic Serb people when they were being put under threat in Croatia and in Bosnia, as he said it. This is the position Mr. Seselj held. He was indicted for war crimes and crimes against humanity. The court found that he was making speeches as a politician and that he might have been making a political stance, but it wasn't a criminal stance.